Imagine this. A 7-foot alien built like a walking tank reaches for a human woman, barely 5'4", holding a cup of coffee, with the casual confidence of a predator grabbing prey. And in less than 5 seconds, he's on the floor, his arm broken, his jaw shattered, and the only thing standing between him and total humiliation is the thin plastic of a medical feeding tube. What happened in those seconds changed an entire space station forever. Because that night, everyone learned a truth the galaxy had ignored for far too long. Humans might look soft, but they come from a world that kills the unprepared. Hey, if you're already hooked, and honestly, how could you not be? Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who loves HFY chaos. It helps the channel a ton, and I'd really appreciate it. Now, let's break down what's coming. The night it happened, Calera 9 was heaving with noise, the kind of chaotic, sweat-drenched energy that only comes when 200 beings from 40 species crammed together in a cantina designed for half that number. The gravity well was alive with shouting, gambling, and bad decisions, and Vex, the station's most overworked security officer, stood near the entrance wondering which idiot would throw the first punch. He didn't have to wonder long, because the idiot had already arrived 2 hours earlier, 3 drinks in, radiating the kind of bad-tempered swagger that made bystanders instinctively move out of the way. His name was Grath, 7 feet of muscle, bone plating, and a personality that smelled like trouble even before he opened his mouth. And tonight, Grath was hunting. You could see it in the way he scanned the crowd, his pupils dilated, his mouth twisting into a grin every time someone flinched. He lived for this, throwing his weight around, picking on the smaller traders. Starting fights he never finished because security pulled him off before anyone got hurt enough to file real charges. But tonight, the thing he set his sights on wasn't just small. It was human. Victoria Reeves entered the cantina like she had no idea the universe held things that wanted to kill her. Barely 5'4", slim, holding a cup of coffee like it was an extension of her soul, she looked like someone who belonged in a polite conference room, not in a bar filled with predators. 2 fellow humans walked beside her, tall enough by human standards, but still easily overlooked in a place where the average patron had claws or exoskeleton plating. Vex noticed her immediately, not because she looked dangerous, but because she didn't look dangerous at all. That was the problem. She pushed through the crowd, murmuring little sorry, excuse me phrases in that soft human way, then found a spot at the bar. Nothing about her posture suggested she felt threatened. Nothing about her voice carried fear. If anything, she looked relaxed, comfortable, at home. Vex opened his mouth to warn her, but he was too late. Grath had seen her too. The shift in him was immediate, a predator sharpening into focus. His back straightened, his nostrils flared, and that ugly grin slid back onto his face. He nudged one of the Kragos sitting with him, pointed at the humans, and laughed loudly enough for half the cantina to hear. Vex's stomach sank. "Don't do it," he muttered, already pushing through the crowd. "Not tonight, Grath." But Grath wasn't listening. He was already moving, shouldering through tables and patrons as he made a beeline toward the bar. Victoria was mid-sentence, smiling at something her companion said, when a massive shadow fell over her. She turned slowly, almost lazily, and looked up at the mountain of scale muscle towering behind her. Grath leaned forward, breath thick with alcohol. Well, a Garden World softy. Vex saw the exact moment the cantina shifted. Conversations dropped, heads turned, and even the music seemed to pull back like it didn't want to get involved. Everyone knew something was coming, except Victoria. She just gave Grath a polite, almost amused nod. "Hi, we're just having a drink. Not looking for trouble." Oh no, Vex thought. Wrong choice of words. Grath heard apology, submission, even though none was intended. "Trouble?" Grath barked a laugh. "You wouldn't know trouble if it bit your little." He didn't finish. The words dissolved into more laughter from his table. His arrogance ballooned. His shoulders rolled. And then he said the line that froze even the drunkest hauler in the room. "You're tiny. You and their pets." Victoria blinked once. Not scared, just confused. Like she couldn't quite believe an adult was acting this way. "We're leaving," she said calmly. "Have a good night." She turned to go. That should have been the end. But Grath was drunk, cruel, and too stupid to recognize a warning when it was handed to him politely. He reached out, fast. His massive hand closed around the collar of her jumpsuit. His intention clear: humiliate her, lift her off her feet, show the entire gravity, well, that he could do anything he wanted to a human. Vex shouted. Someone screamed. But the scream didn't come from Victoria. It came from Grath. Because the moment his fingers closed on her collar, the universe snapped. One instant she was still. The next, she wasn't. Her body dropped, twisted, and rose again like a lightning bolt made of flesh. Vex didn't see technique, or strategy, or even motion. He saw a blur. He saw Grath's feet leave the ground. He saw the table behind him explode into splinters under the weight of 200 kilos of shocked Krago muscle. Grath didn't land like a fighter. He landed like cargo thrown off a speeding vehicle. The cantina gasped. Silence slammed down. Grath groaned, tried to lift himself, but his right arm, his dominant arm, was bent wrong. Wrong in a way nature never intended. Bone pushing at skin, nerves screaming. Victoria just watched him, calm, coffee still in hand. Vex's legs finally started moving again, but he was too far away to stop what came next. Grath tried to stand. Victoria stepped forward. Her boot rose in a clean, precise arc. No wasted motion, no anger, no hesitation. And when it came down, the sound was like a gunshot. Grath's jaw shattered. Teeth scattered across the floor like spilled dice. His body went limp before it hit the deck. And Victoria, this small, quiet, unimpressive human, exhaled through her nose, brushed a speck of dust from her sleeve, and took a sip of her coffee. "Sorry about the mess," she murmured. Vex froze a few feet away, stunned not by her violence, but by her composure. She wasn't panicked, wasn't trembling, wasn't even breathing hard. She'd done this before. Not to aliens, no. To something else. Something from home. Something worse. The cantina slowly regained sound. First whispers, then frantic chatter, then outright disbelief. Finally, Vex's calm buzzed to life as he shouted for medical. Grath would live, but not well, not soon, and not proudly. Victoria turned to leave with her team, calm as ever. She didn't know it yet, but the entire station would remember her name. Not because she fought, but because she showed the galaxy what humans really were. Deathworlders pretending to be harmless. When Vex filed the official report, he thought the incident would fade after a few rotations. One more bar fight, one more drunk idiot, one more file in a growing mountain of station security chaos. But the universe had other plans. What happened in the gravity, well, didn't just echo. It detonated. By morning cycle, the footage, grainy, shaky, but unmistakably real, had spread to every corner of Calera 9. Someone had leaked it, and while Vex didn't know who, he had a strong suspicion that Ralph the Mueller had suddenly developed a talent for accidental data transfers. It didn't matter how it got out. What mattered was what it showed. A Krago enforcer, a species known for tossing cargo containers like toys, had grabbed a human woman by the collar, and she had obliterated him. The station's reaction was immediate and overwhelming. In the commercial district, traders rewound the clip again and again, making sounds of disbelief. In the maintenance spokes, Kelrath engineers huddled around datapads, muttering to each other in stunned tones. Even the pleasure halls, where nothing ever fazed anyone, buzzed with cautious whispers. "Did you see the angle of his arm?" She kicked his jaw into 4 pieces. "That tiny creature is from a garden world. That's not a garden world. That's a battlefield." For the first time since humans arrived, no one laughed at them. For the first time, the galaxy saw the truth. Humans didn't evolve in comfort. They evolved in war. Vex sat alone in Security HQ when he finally opened the Earth data file. Really opened it, rather than skimming the summary. He expected mild surprises. Maybe some odd wildlife. Some harsh weather patterns. Something to explain how a small human could break someone like Grath. What he found made him sit back in his chair, breath hollowing out of his lungs. Deathworld, he whispered. The term tasted wrong, like something that shouldn't be spoken aloud. Category 12. He'd never seen a 12. No one had. The scale existed mostly for theory, some academic tool used to classify hypothetical hell planets. But Earth wasn't hypothetical. Earth was real, and humans lived there. He scrolled. The file read like a list of survival challenges designed by a sadistic god. Predators capable of outrunning vehicles, venomous creatures that killed in minutes, insects that carried diseases, storms that ripped homes from the ground, oceans that swallowed ships whole. But the part that shook him wasn't the danger. It was the adaptation, how humans responded. Humans didn't have claws, venom, armor, or spines. They had intelligence, endurance, and something the report called combat neuroplasticity, a trait that let them learn violence with terrifying speed. And they practiced it, refined it, perfected it. Vex stared at the section on martial arts. Hundreds of styles created across thousands of years, each one engineered to give a physically weaker individual an advantage over a larger, stronger opponent. He replayed the footage of Victoria's throw, and suddenly, everything clicked. She hadn't been lucky. She hadn't been desperate. She hadn't been improvising. She'd been trained. Not militarily. Not professionally. Casually. As a hobby. This is recreational for them. Vex whispered, horrified. They train for this the way we train for sports. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face with both hands. The room spun. His assumptions spun with it. The humans weren't weak. They were polite. And that was much, much worse. By the next day, the station's entire tone had changed. The humans walked through the concourse with the same gentle smiles, the same calm posture, the same soft voices. But the way others reacted to them, that was different. When a group of Muellers stumbled drunkenly through the marketplace and nearly collided with a human clerk, they apologized before she even turned around. When two Nari traders argued loudly near the human delegation office, their voices dropped the moment a human intern stepped outside to check the noise. And when Victoria Reeves entered a shuttle tram, the crowd parted down the middle like she carried a personal gravity field. This should have inflated her ego. It didn't. If anything, Victoria seemed a little uncomfortable with the sudden reverence. Vex saw her again 3 rotations later. She stood by the observation windows overlooking docking spoke 4, sipping coffee, always coffee, and studying the view like she was memorizing the stars. "Quiet shift?" she asked, not looking away from the glass. "Quiet since you broke Grath," Vex said. "People behave better now, mostly out of fear." She sighed softly. "I wasn't trying to scare anyone. I only wanted him to stop grabbing me." Vex nodded. "I know, and for what it's worth, I'm sorry. We judged your entire species by your appearance. We were wrong." "Yeah," Victoria said gently, "but the galaxy does that a lot." He hesitated, then asked, "Are all humans like you?" She laughed, a small, warm sound that somehow made Vex more nervous. "No," she said, "not all. Some are stronger, faster, or train longer. Some never learned to fight at all." She took another sip, eyes focused on the spinning spokes of the station. "But every human understands one thing." "What?" Her gaze shifted to him, calm, steady, impossibly old in its understanding for someone so young. "When something threatens you and won't let you walk away, you end it." Vex swallowed. That was the moment he truly understood what humanity was. Not violent, not cruel, not monstrous, just decisive. A species forged in danger. A species that learned restraint because the alternative was extinction. A species capable of violence, so efficient it didn't look brutal, it looked practiced. After the incident, Grath eventually returned to work. But he returned changed. Quieter. Slower. His jaw bore faint scars where the bone had realigned. His arms still trembled when he lifted heavy crates. And he never, not once, stepped foot in the gravity well again. Someone asked him what he learned from the encounter. He answered with a simple, hollow voice. "The humans are pretending." It became a saying on Calera 9. Never underestimate a polite species. Never provoke a human. Never touch an Earthborn. And Vex? He carried a final lesson with him wherever he went. Whenever a new species arrived on the station, tall, armored, venomous, or bristling with natural weapons, he greeted them politely, but he never forgot the truth carved into his memory. Small wasn't harmless. Soft wasn't weak. And humans were the legends evolution wrote with blood, storms, and teeth. They were the quiet storm, the smile before the strike, the soft voice from the deadliest world in the galaxy. And above all, they were the one species you never grab by the collar.